You call some of the members of the Supreme Court evil. Now, which ones do you think are evil?
I would have to refresh my recollection. I've been very critical of some members of the Supreme Court.
You made that statement, aren't you?
I'm
You're an officer
Senator, it
of the
doesn't
court.
sound like something that
You know
I
what
would
I'm
say.
embarrassed at? That you're teaching our kids.
I don't refer to Supreme Court justices as evil
You
in
did,
the
right here,
in the classroom,
on
sir.
your podcast, April 22nd, 2024.
Okay, well,
Big as Dallas. And you're an officer of the court, and you're here advising us to be respectful of federal judges, and you say they're evil members of the United States Supreme Court? Gag me with a spoon. Do you think nationwide injunctions are being abused?
Certainly, Senator. I think that is.
They're being abused by both sides, aren't they?
Welcome back to the channel. A routine Senate Judiciary Committee hearing suddenly erupted into absolute fireworks when Senator John Kennedy took the mic to cross-examine a witness. Known for his sharp, unvarnished interrogation style, Senator Kennedy launched a blistering attack against a prominent law professor who had previously advised Congress to show respect toward federal judges. Armed with receipts, Kennedy pulled up a podcast transcript from April 22, 2024, where the very same professor openly questioned whether Justice Elena Kagan could prevent her evil colleagues on the Supreme Court from distorting a ruling. What followed was a high-stakes, tense exchange, as the professor struggled to explain the comment, claiming a potential transcription error while Kennedy expressed utter disbelief that someone holding such partisan views is responsible for educating the nation's future lawyers and legal scholars. Let's dive into the conversation.
Senator Kennedy.
Would any of you advise a client to defy a federal court order?
No.
None of you would? How about you, Professor?
I mean, under most circumstances, we follow the government and private parties follow court orders. I suppose it's not, I would not rule out ever the possibility that in a sufficiently egregious order, there should be some consideration of whether there's a way.
So in some cases,
I think it's a qualified answer,
in
yes.
some cases you would.
In an extremely narrow band of cases, I think it would be considered, yes.
Okay. Do any of you think that nationwide or universal injunctions are not being abused?
I'm not sure what if I may, Senator, I'm not sure what the time horizon of the question is. I don't think that there could be good faith disagreements about the correctness of some of them, but I have not seen in the last 4 months abuse. No.
I've read your stuff, and I've read your writings, and I don't want to get bogged down with this, but I have little respect for your opinion because I've read your stuff. When someone is in the White House that you agree with and someone gets a universal injunction against him, you don't like universal injunctions. You called them judges acting like they're politicians in robes and judges looking like crass political actors. But now that President Trump's in the White House, who you dislike, you think that universal injunctions taste like pumpkin pie. So I have to discount what you say because I think you act on your political beliefs. And I worry that that's what you're teaching your kids. So I'll leave you out of that. Do you think nationwide injunctions are being abused?
Certainly, Senator. I think that is.
They're being abused by both sides, aren't they?
Yes, Senator.
Both Republicans and Democrats are forum shopping, aren't they?
Certainly.
Professor, do you disagree with that?
I think both sides are abusing them. I agree.
Okay. Both sides.
Yeah.
There are no clean hands here. Now, your suggestion is that when a federal judge issues a nationwide injunction, there should be an automatic stay and an expedited right of appeal. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Do you disagree with that?
I haven't given enough thought to have a position on it, Senator.
I suspect, Professor, your answer will be it depends on who's president.
No, Senator.
Let me ask you about this. What if we had a rule? I was reading an article the other day. I'm not suggesting it. I just want your opinions. That said, if a president, any president, issues an executive order, let's say, that clearly violates settled Supreme Court precedent, that a federal judge can't issue a nationwide injunction. For example, if a federal a president issued an order that said no one in America has right to counsel any longer, including but not limited to, in a felony case, having the government pay for your lawyer if you can't afford it. That clearly violates settled Gideon v. Wainwright. In that case, a judge has no authority or does have authority to issue a nationwide injunction. But in a case where the law is unclear, a judge should refrain from that. Now, obviously, we'd have to trust our judges, but we're supposed to be able to trust them anyway. What do you think about that?
I don't agree with that, Senator, because I think universal injunctions transgress the limitations under Article 3, even if the underlying merits are clear.
I happen to agree with you. I don't think there's any basis under Article 3, under Supreme Court precedent, under the English common law for nationwide injunctions. I think politicians have helped judges, and many judges are politicians, to just make it up. And many of them are like Professor Shaw here. If they like the president, they're against nationwide injunctions. If they don't like the president, they're for him. Professor, let me ask you this while I have you. On April 22nd, 2024, you said there are some members of the Supreme Court that are evil. Which justices were you talking about?
I'll take it your word, Senator. I don't recall using that word, but
All right, here's what you said. You were talking about the majority opinion in Muldrow v. City of St. Louis. You said, quote, Justice Kagan, will she be able to control the opinion's future distortion by her evil colleagues? Probably not, end quote. Who were you talking about?
sir, I'm very skeptical. If it's a transcription, it was probably a transcription error. I do not think I said.
No, you said it. Why don't you own up to it? Which you call some of the members of the Supreme Court evil. Now, which ones do you think are evil?
I would have to refresh my recollection. I've been very critical
You're
of some
embarrassed
members of the
that
Supreme
you made
Court.
that statement, aren't you?
I'm
You're an
telling
officer
Senator, it
of the
doesn't sound
court.
like something that
You know
I
what
would
I'm
say.
embarrassed at? That you're teaching our kids.
I don't refer to Supreme Court justices as evil in
Did
the
right here
in the classroom,
on
sir.
your podcast, April 22nd, 2024.
Okay, well,
Big as Dallas. And you're an officer of the court, and you're here advising us to be respectful to federal judges, and you say they're evil members of the United States Supreme Court? Gag me with a spoon. You're part of what's the problem in all of this.
Thank you, Senator Kennedy.
The tension only heightened as Senator Kennedy pivoted toward fundamental legal ethics and the enforceability of federal court decisions. Kennedy pressed the entire panel of legal experts on whether they would ever advise a client to outright defy a federal court order. While the witnesses initially maintained that parties must adhere to judicial rulings under standard procedures, the professor conceded that in an extremely narrow band of extraordinarily egregious circumstances, defiance might be given rare consideration, a moment Kennedy used to highlight an erosion of respect for the rule of law. Shifting the focus to systemic legal issues, Senator Kennedy tackled the controversial topic of nationwide injunctions and forum shopping. Kennedy openly criticized shifting stances on universal injunctions, arguing that commentators praise or condemn them purely based on which political party occupies the White House. He called out the apparent double standard, noting how critics label judges as politicians in robes under opposing administrations, yet embrace nationwide injunctions when it suits their political agenda. The discussion eventually turned to a rare moment of consensus regarding the broader abuse of nationwide injunctions across the political spectrum. Acknowledging that both parties actively engage in forum shopping, Kennedy explored potential legislative remedies including automatic stays and expedited rights of appeal when a federal judge issues a nationwide order. The panelists noted that universal injunctions inherently stretch the constitutional boundaries established under Article 3. In the final minutes of the exchange, Senator Kennedy circled back to the professor's controversial podcast Remarks, directly reading the transcript into the record. Justice Kagan, will she be able to control the opinion's future distortion by her evil colleagues? Probably not. When the professor attempted to attribute the phrase to a recording error or a lack of recollection, Kennedy flatly rejected the defense, delivering his signature line, "Gag me with a spoon," and admonishing the professor for lecturing Congress on respect while calling sitting justices evil. This intense Senate hearing highlighted the growing political and legal divides over judicial ethics and nationwide court rulings. What do you think about Senator Kennedy's confrontational questioning? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this coverage, and subscribe to the channel for more breakdown videos on the biggest legal showdowns in Congress.